Joining me now from Southern California, retired Border Patrol agent and Director of Political Affairs for the Border Patrol Union San Diego sector, Chris Harris. Chris, it seems as though the biggest enemies right now in terms of law enforcement at the border are not the illegal immigrants themselves. It seems as though it's municipalities like Cincinnati, the entire state of California, which is now a sanctuary state, and these rogue judges, these rogue lawyers dressed in a black robe that are effectively thwarting everything the Border Patrol and ICE is trying to do.
That's a huge part of the problem. This nation, Graham, was founded on the rule of law. It goes back to the Magna Carta. We're not the rule of man, but unfortunately it seems like under the last administration we started slipping away from the rule of law, where everybody's treated equally, justice is blind, and we're now going to, some people are exempt from the law, and I could have sworn I just heard the good Congresswoman Pelosi saying that nobody's against the law, but apparently there is a whole segment of our society now, or that are at least here in this country, and that are people that are here illegally. I get it. The left will tell you nobody is an illegal person. I get it. But their status is that of an illegal alien. And yet we see cities and communities and states, including this state, across the country saying, we're going to protect and actually help thwart the law. And that just seems to be the height of hypocrisy.
Well, not only that, it's antithetical to the United States Constitution and the Supremacy Clause. And we are a nation of laws. We are a nation of the rule of law, and we don't cherry pick. If you don't like the law, then change the law. But look at the apprehension numbers dating back just the past couple of years. If you look at the chart, you'll see when Donald Trump was sworn in 2017, there was a sudden drop-off of illegal immigration activity. But then around mid-2018, all of a sudden you start seeing a spike to where we have it today. And the reason why that took place in 2018, mid-2018, is this lone judge, this lone lawyer dressed in a black robe, I believe in San Diego County, in the county in which you operate out of, that decided that, you know what, I'm going to impose my idea of how immigration policy should be deployed in this country. And so ever since that judge says, you know what, there has to be this special system where if you happen to have an illegal child with you, and you're an illegal immigrant, you have an illegal child with you, you're going to be treated differently, specially. And this then is the golden ticket, which creates the spike that we're experiencing right now of, sometimes in the neighborhood of more than 100,000 per month.
Well, there's a lot of truth to that, Graham. One of the things is, the Founding Fathers were brilliant, and they formed our country with the tension between the three branches of government. And the legislative has its job, the executive branch has, and the judicial has theirs. What you see sometimes with the judicial branch, and it can be frightening, is this activism, the judicial activism. If you want to do that, then run and be a congressman. But you don't get to form and promulgate legislation as a judge. You're supposed to interpret the law. That's it. And so we've created, through different court rulings and other things under the last administration, we've stretched our asylum system out of all recognition, where it was for basically if you were being committed genocide against you because your race, creed, color, national origin, religion, from the country of origin, then you could claim asylum. And it's a beautiful thing. We had a lot of Cambodians who were escaping from the Khmer Rouge and Pol Pot, the killing fields. That's real asylum. We're proud of that as Americans. But it's been pushed into and is being gamed now where you're actually coming here for economic benefits, but you're allowed to use loopholes and game the system under asylum. And part of that is because of some activist judges. That's part of the problem.
And the Trump administration is doing what it can. For example, enacting this policy of requiring asylum seekers to seek and declare asylum in the country that they set foot in first. In other words, if you're coming up from Guatemala and you set foot in Mexico, then declare asylum there. It kind of makes sense. If you're truly seeking asylum, then you should do it in the very next country, you would think. And so this is a good policy, but it's been deactivated by another Obama judge in San Francisco that said, you know what? I don't like that policy. One judge, one lawyer, one radical lawyer appointed by a radical president is now dictating immigration policy. And again, you mentioned it, the framers of the Constitution never would have envisioned this because the Article III branch has no role in immigration.
And that's correct. In this injunction, hopefully the government will win over it. But the fact is that in the refugee system, in the asylum refugee, you're different. It's an international norm. If you're escaping, say, Syria and you end up in Germany, that's it. You don't get to then pick and choose and go, you know what, I'd rather be in Canada.
Right.
No, you're in your first country. I interviewed a guy from China one time who claimed he was seeking asylum because he was a Christian in China and he was being persecuted. Well, we know that happens. Well, I'm a Christian. I need to work on my faith, but I know the central tenets of my faith. So I asked him, tell me about Jesus Christ. And he did one of these. He looked up in the air and he said, he's a friend of Buddha's. Well, Buddha and Jesus were 700, 800 years apart.
So you got him.
JC and Buddha were not cracking beers together. So he's not a Christian. He's lying. He's gaming the system.
Exactly, and that's what we're seeing here. And unfortunately, here we have President Trump and his team trying to stick fingers in the dike, and then we have these activist judges poking more holes in it. This is the reality of what we're dealing with right now. Chris, thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.